What's the difference between an RPG and an adventure game? RPGs root in focusing from troops to instead singular characters within simulated miniature wargaming, with added non-combat skills and specialized roles. The Dungeon Master came from the referee. They does tend to center around decision-making based on resources and systemic knowledge checks, while adapting to the stat-based and randomized elements. Their exploration in dungeons tends to be more systemic and abstract for resources. Decision-making tends to be emphasized more between battles on a macro level. Extra systems tend to help most in combat, like shop systems or even crafting items. Both genres are typically structured around some kind of non-gameplay scenario, where you must interact within the right ways to progress within said scenario through the right verbs in the right sequence and preset choices. In adventure games, however, they are part of the fundamental central mechanics that tend to have more detail, like multiple exploratory verbs. Certain types of RPGs leave this overworld aspect out, like dungeon crawler RPGs, and the more wargame-like strategy RPGs. Adventure games have their scenario-integrated exploration as their main activity. They have items function as typically hidden purpose keys. Their fundamentals rely on scenario event triggers, scenario inventory items, scenario verbs, and scenario riddles as their conflict. Adventure games are less system or player-driven in their cause and effect and often more pre-scripted by the author. RPGs try to capture more of a back and forth between the dungeon master and player, so to speak. RPGs have mechanical roleplay, identity roleplay, and incremental and task-based progression play as their main systems outside of the wargame-derived combat. The non-wargame-derived fundamentals of RPGs are all set upon a roll-the-dice system influenced by the attributes and stats of a type of character sheet. Gameplay mechanics represent and differentiate these characters and let them specialize into specific gameplay roles. Typically, a base class and race is chosen with their limitation and growth types, and then they typically have things like skills, temporary equipment, and items and stats influencing how the character develops and the role they have. This is both used in the scenario and the combat. If you roll a 6 and your charisma is already 10, and you need 16 charisma to persuade the guard, then you get 2. If your attack is 5 and you roll a 5, you may do 10 damage. More traditional RPGs tend to favor player agency in how they can customize their experiences, build their character, and influence the world and their story, and also feature a lot more optional content. As such, even scenario aspects tend to have more choice and system-driven variability for the sake of roleplay. Preset characters, then, are more common in adventure games, except for JRPGs. RPGs start to resemble adventure games when they are more pre-scripted and linear, thematic scenario and exploration-focused, and leave out combat, but the dice roll character sheet system persists, as well as incremental and task-based character progression through effort, and building characters through different macro-level decisions.